Yo, what's up, Insta fam, the Facebook brotherhood / sisterhood? I want to welcome you to another episode of Honest Conversations about things that matter. Today, I want to give you an inside scoop into my life, and not just the outward appearance, but into my mind and the things that I was going through during one of the hardest times in my life. Today isn't as much of a conversation as it is an encouragement. You know, right now in our country, there has been a major economic hit. There's people who are really going through a hard time financially. Their businesses are closing. They don't know how they're gonna pay their bills, and they might feel like a loser, a failure, that they don't have what it takes to get through. And I just wanna encourage you today. I want you to know that you're not alone in this journey, and I want you to know that there's hope at the end of this. 6 years ago, if you were connected with me at that time, you probably would have seen pictures of me on social and all that kind of thing in high schools and speaking and in different parts of the world and all that. And you might have thought like, man, this dude is doing some cool work. Maybe you didn't, whatever. But you might have thought that I was doing some cool stuff. But the thing you wouldn't have known is that at that time, I had just transitioned from working a paying job while running a nonprofit to strictly running the nonprofit without pay. In fact, for about a 3-year period, from about 6 years ago to about 3 years ago, I was living off of about $300 to $500 a month. In order to do that, I had to move in with my family. I sold my car. I exhausted my savings. And a couple of years into it, I found myself as a 30-year-old guy living at my mom's house, and I felt like a total loser in life. People would say, man, what you do is so inspiring. Do the good work and all that. And that was great. It's super cool when people are like, yeah, you're doing great work. It's another thing when you go home and you're single and you're like, dude, no girl would ever date me if they knew that I lived with my 13-year-old brother in my mom's house. Like, I am a loser. TLC wrote the song Scrubs about my life. The only reason I'm hollering from the passenger side of my best friend's ride is because I don't got a car myself. I had to sell it to do the work I'm doing. And all joking aside, I was going through such discouragement in my heart, where I felt like I had to hang on to every penny and try to stretch it as far as it would go because I didn't know when more money was gonna come in. I felt like a loser. I felt like I should have been helping my mom and I was only taking from my mom. And it was just a really, really hard few years of my life. And around that time, I remember having a conversation with my mentor. His name was David. And I just shared with him these things. I said, David, I know that what I'm doing matters. I know that the work that I'm doing is helping youth. But David, I feel like a loser, man. I don't have a car. I'm living with my mom. I don't have money, man. I just feel like a loser in life. He was a good mentor. He wasn't one of those people that just, tell you what you want to hear. But he actually challenged me and he said this, Brandon, did you know that the majority of the world doesn't have their own vehicle and they have to take public transportation? I'm like, yeah. He's like, did you know that the majority of the world has to live with family, that they choose actually to live with family? That even when they're an adult, they will still live with their family and they'll even invite their spouse that they marry to live with their family. Did you know that? And I'm like, yeah, thanks for telling me, kind of thing. I don't remember if I knew it or not, but he informed me of it. Don't allow the American standard to dictate success for your life. What you're doing matters. The work you're doing is making an impact in people's lives. And the reason you feel like a loser is because you're comparing your life to what you see around you in our society. And in reality, that's not the life of many people around the world. You have to shift your perspective on what is normal and what is success. David's words challenged me so much because he was 100% right. I was so concerned with my image and how people would portray me and feeling like a loser and feeling like I was literally the butt of every joke of the 30-year-old living with his parents. The reason I felt that way is because I allowed the perspective and the words of other people who didn't even matter in my life to dictate who I thought that I was. But the truth was, I was actually making a difference. Who I was really mattered to the world. And I just want to encourage some of you with that today, that you might feel like everything was stripped away. Your job was stripped away. Your money was stripped away. Anything on the outside that might have made you look successful is now stripped away. And all you're left with is just you. You don't have money to hide behind. You don't have an image to hide behind. You don't have a good job with a great title to hide behind. It's just you. But what an amazing opportunity for you to come out of this better. In our society, so many times we hide behind the image, we hide behind the money, we hide behind the fame, we hide behind what we put out for people to see. And we're so concerned about our image, from Instagram to Facebook to whatever it is, that we never really deal with who we really are on the inside that people don't see. What an opportunity we have when nobody can see us, when we legally can't even be around each other, to actually deal with the things that are going on in our lives, to actually deal with selfishness, to actually deal with what we're giving our lives for. Each of us only has one life to live. Are you living a life that's worth your life? A couple of years ago, I moved out to LA, and right before I came, I was actually living in that period of time that I was talking about, where I didn't have a lot of money and I I was living with my family. So I moved out to LA, and doing the work that I was doing here gave me an opportunity to go on a private jet, fly from California to Florida, go to Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago house for a big benefit for a nonprofit organization. It was really, really fancy, really, really cool, awesome opportunity. And I remember posting a picture of myself on the private jet, and it was so cool because people celebrated me, man. They were commenting, being like, how cool, liking the photo, all of that. It was almost as if at that moment I was successful because I had been on a private jet. But the truth was, I was the same person on that private jet that I was living at home with my mom with no money. In fact, being on that private jet didn't even mean I had money. It meant someone else had money. The private jet didn't change who I was. The private jet didn't make me any more successful. I could have walked to Florida. I would have been the same person. But in our perspective, a lot of times we equate success with those symbols of private jet or Bentley or Mercedes or whatever. We're in a financial crisis in our country. So many people are having all that they would have built their life around of image and those financial symbols. They're being stripped away. But what an amazing opportunity to honestly assess our lives and say, man, am I more concerned with looking good or actually being good in my soul? Am I concerned more with likes and how people perceive me or who I'm actually becoming? Am I more concerned with how other people see me or who I see in myself when I look at the mirror at the end of a day? Do I like the person I am becoming? What an awesome opportunity to strip away all the stuff that's fake and doesn't matter and actually get down to who we really are. Who are you really as a child living at home with your parents, as a husband or wife with your spouse, as a father or mother with your kids? We can show the world whoever we want the world to see, and that doesn't mean that we are who we're portraying. But what an amazing time to grow here, so that when we show the world something, it actually matches up with who we really are. And I just want to challenge you with a couple of things. In this season, it's a season to put down pride. I think we get caught up thinking that people care about how we look and the stuff we do and all that. People don't care. They're more concerned with how they look to worry about you. We're all caught up on ourselves, Put down pride. The only reason I can do the work that I do and help people in need is because years ago, I overcame that fear of asking for help. Right now, if you don't have money, if you don't have a job, if you're having a hard time with food, I want you to know if you're dad, it doesn't mean you're a failure. If you're a mom, it doesn't mean you're a failure. If you're a single person living at home with your parents, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It's just a moment of your life that you got to go through, you got to press through, and you're going to be okay. Just keep going. And I need you to know, though, that you got to ask for help. Go to the food banks, seek out the government systems that are designed for such a moment as this. Reach out to churches who are giving away food. Whatever it takes, seek out the help that you need to make it through this moment. Number 2, be present with your friends and your family in an authentic way. People are going through a hard time. They don't need your life to look great. They just need you to be authentic and be a real friend and be a real family member to them right now. And number 3, allow this moment to shift the dream you have for your life. You guys, the American dream, unfortunately, is all about the image. It's all about the pleasure. It's all about the success for us a lot of times. But in this moment, we can allow our perspective and our dreams to shift. God has a plan for each of our lives that is bigger than a crisis, that's bigger than a pandemic. It's a dream that will impact our lives, but will also allow us to impact other people's lives. Look at your life, assess what you're giving your lives to, and see if it's actually worth the days that you're giving to it. You only have one life to live. And when you come out of this pandemic and this stay-at-home order, is what you're gonna give your life to worth the one life you have to give? Guys, I hope you're encouraged by these words today. I hope that your perspective of success was challenged and that you're able to see life in a new light. Don't allow the illusion of the world to dictate who you see yourself to be. You guys, I live in the LA area. I walk down the streets and I can tell you this, so much of it is fake. So much of the money and how people portray themselves is fake. From the television sets to the lighting, it's all fake. It's just an illusion. But what you can have in your life is bigger than that. You can actually have substance of something that's real, of you being a person that is growing internally, and what you show to the world actually matches what's going on in here. You guys are amazing. Thanks for joining me today for this honest conversation about things that matter. We'll see you back tomorrow. Peace out.